So here it is, the Tesla Model 3 long range and a non-performance model, the one that I went with because I thought it was the better value. So as I mentioned in a previous video, I had to get to learn the car and understanding how it works. I've driven many different types of Teslas, but there's a difference between driving them and actually owning them, because between the two, you only get experience a short duration time, so you don't know what are defects. Now I have it for about 2 weeks. Now I understand the ins and outs of it. So Tesla recently posted a video about their glass, which I'll get into it, which I talk about their acoustic glass, which I thought was pretty interesting, and let's be honest, it was cringeworthy. It was really bad. So you talk about how do you get dual pane glass windows, right? Tell me, do you understand how the sound works? So you look at it here where they have the acoustic glass. You open the door. Right here, look at this. Oh, nice, dual pane, right? That is actually really neat. Only if this camera autofocus, and there you go. So right here, dual pane glass windows right here. That's really neat, right? It's like, Tesla, come on. If you're gonna advertise it, at least do it correctly. Like, what is this? Do you insulate your own house and you only insulate half of it and call it completely done? Thermal proof? Thermal efficient? Like, it's like you guys forgot the back window. Do you understand how the sound works, Tesla? That is really disappointing. As I mentioned in previous video, I mean, I'm not really a fan of, rubber right here. And the reason why, because, put it this way, rubber does not like sunlight. They like to be lubricated. As you see on the other family vehicle here, the Acura TL. This is about from 2011, so it has a good fair shine. I mean, good fair time of its maintenance and shares. So you look at the rubber gasket here, it's pretty well, solid. And you look at the top right here, I'm not sure how many rubber pieces to show. Oh, right here. So you look at the rubber pieces right here, it's starting to come off. This is took about 8 years. So basically, plastic and rubbers don't like sunlight, especially if it's exposed to direct sunlight. Give it about like 8 years, it'll start peeling. So what annoys me is when I see Tesla having a lot of exposed rubber, especially on these parts right here, and I didn't get a video of it when I was washing the car and prepping it. Water was actually getting between the rubber and the glass, which I was not happy about. I didn't make it in the cabin, but you can see moisture condense because of how hot it is inside a car versus outside. So I'm going to take you for a drive, and I will do a review of the driver's car. So a lot of people say how good is this car, and to truly experience it as an owner, let's get a deep dive into it. So as shown in the previous video, car is pretty simple, really nice, really basic. I'll get more in detail later on. Screen, it's like an iPad. The roof, I noticed one problem I really don't like. Is the roof, a lot of people said it's nice, but if you live in the Southwest, when it gets over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 34, 35 degrees Celsius for people who are not in the US, anything higher than that, you will notice this gets really, really hot really quick. It feels like your forehead, anywhere your forehead above is cooking. They fixed that. A lot of people said blow the AC, like the AC right here, right? Blow the AC. And you can change it right here to make it go up. So you make it go up, it can shoot all the way on top. You make it go down and shoot all the way down. So when you do that, it works, right? It cools down your head. But next thing you know, since this car is literally covered in glass, and a recent Tesla video talked about how good their glass is, I literally cringed. Is because once sunlight was not a good thermal insulator compared to other like fiberglass material, like or other types of insulation. Like you don't see houses are building out of completely glass to be super thermal efficient compared to using like fiberglass, mineral wool, heck, the new stuff, foam, memory foam. Those are always going to be the king of it. And it's been proven time and time. Like, yes, this glass is very, very advanced for a car. But is it better than the traditional stuff? No. I hate to break it to you, no. After driving it for 2 weeks, owning it, it's a fat no. The best comparison I can make for this vehicle is my current daily driver, the BMW M340i from 2020. It's the best comparison, and I'll break down the costs, because since it's a finance channel, we're mainly looking at the cost and the value of ownership of a vehicle, whether or not it's worth it, which one to purchase. I was looking to a Mercedes-Benz C43 AMG, but the problem is, like, look at this. I look at net cost. I don't really look at gross, because if it's a gross, it doesn't really include everything. It doesn't include the whole picture. So I'm going to go out for a drive and we'll talk more about the vehicle and a lot of things that a lot of other people do not mention. All right. So let's go out for a drive. And for the on-screen stuff, it takes about, I say, a good hour or two to learn it completely, to understand how it works. And let's go out for a drive. And I'll let you know how I feel compared to the BMW, where you should get a Tesla or a BMW or any other brand that's around this bracket. Keep in mind, this car is not cheap. You're looking at about the $50,000 to $60,000 mark net gross. I mean, net, basically net, how much it costs, net cost. This vehicle is not cheap. It's not meant for everyone. This car likes to peep at me, I understand. Yes, I know. Finally got the Tesla keycard replaced, thank God. And I will show you an example how a legitimate keycard should look like. And Tesla, you should take note of it. One thing I do like about the car, it does have, I'm pretty sure every other Tesla video, I'm not going to show it, all the other cars have a driver profile and a side door and stuff, but it never saves correctly. No matter what brand I use. I drove Mercedes-Benz before. And that time, my ownership was about a couple months, I believe like 3 to 4 months. And the car itself, it's great, but like every single car besides Tesla doesn't have a really good integration when it comes to software. That is a given fact. I will not deny that one. One thing like this, setting up profile, you can save it. Hopefully it doesn't delete itself later on when you do maintenance. But overall, it works really well. And let's get into driving. So, driving the Model 3. Very simple, standard driving stock. To look at minivan stocks. Other than that, pretty good, solid. And check the settings. We're going to keep this all on comfort, no autopilot, because I'd rather not put my life on a vehicle's hands, because you see all those FUD when people post online. I rather keep it, basic, simple, how I used to drive, because I prefer a driver's car more than a car driving for me. I would allow a car drive for me if it's good enough to prove itself. And so far, autopilot, every single system out there has not proven to me. It's not worth it. As for driver, let's put it this way. Most people who design cars only care about basically the driver and the shotgun passenger, not the rear. I'll let you know how I thought when I sit in the back. And you will have an actual driver, unlike other videos I've seen where people will talk about how good it is when you are a shotgun passenger or sitting as a driver. So first impressions, the car, it's not bad. The ride, if you look at the ride, I'll say it's pretty close to looking, if you drive your typical Honda Civic, your Toyota Camry, your ride will not be much different from this. I can let you know that right now, because I actually owned those cars back then. My family owned Hondas and Toyotas before. Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, Honda Civic. We know how it's like to be driven both sides. So as that was, which one's better? I say ride quality, suspension wise, pretty much similar. Steering feel, how it feels to turn the car, the steering. It feels kind of artificially numb, because based on all the electronics is assisting. Because right now I'm driving in standard mode and on sports steering. So I prefer my steering to be a little heavy than a traditional, basically numb, nothing, everything's dead. And let's put it this way. A lot of people like to drive, normally, not crazy. Like all these people showing how fast is the car. Yes, it's fast. I have to admit, it's faster than the 340M. But how often would you drive like that? It's basically I'm driving on city streets right now, residential area, going 25. I'm not gonna mad it. But at the same time, it's like, just driving is really great. The turning, the feeling, depending on the roads, it's really spot on solid. The sound and how quiet, like a lot of people complain, you hear a lot of rock sounds. I have to say, compared to engine sound, I still prefer the engine sound. Engine sound just sounds so much better. And it comes to rock chips depending on where you are driving. Depends on the road, how much crap is on the road, other cars kicking up, driving on the freeway or not. But ride quality, typical. Not super great, not super bad. If it's out of 5, I'll probably give it around a 3.5 to a 4. Because if you ever sit in a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, or you sit in a Bentley or Rolls-Royce, and you have to at least sit in it, and you'll notice right away what a difference is compared to those cars and versus everyone else. I thought it would be really simple. A lot of people think it's like, oh, big deal. Like, how much better of a ride can be. That's the definition of floating. Like, truly floating. Like, all these little bumps and undulations here, I'm driving on a perfect, a really smooth road. But that one is just, I don't know how they do it, but it's just really good. So let's go take a side street on the hill and think we're some more undulations. As for, turning, how much body roll it is, a lot of people daily driving, they don't really mind the body roll. They usually mind the comfort and acceleration. And as for the quarter mile, let's face it, no one really cares about that in daily driving. Like, if you're gonna be going over 100 on streets, you'll be losing your license and most likely going to jail for a little while. And which is totally not worth it. As for acceleration, I'm not putting my head back against the seat. This acceleration is mind-boggling for electric car. I drove a lot of sports cars, and the seatbelt's locking because it thinks I'm gonna crash. When it comes to a lot of other cars I've drove, this car's acceleration is for a daily driver, because we're looking at it as a daily driver, not a sports car. Drive every day because it's meant to save you money. This is mind-boggling fast. It's something I don't even feel on my BMW M340i. It's almost instant. The BMW has a turbo. It's really quick too, but when it comes to basically between 0 to 30, there's a major difference in how it feels, even to 60. They claim this car 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people like to cheat and use the rollout, which is at 0.3 seconds. Technically it's 4.7. I truly believe this car is a 4-second car. As for ride blind spots, it really depends on your sitting position. I like to sit basically F1 style, racing cars. I sit flat on the floor. A lot of people don't like it. And I personally find it most comfortable in position. As for how he drives every day, people hear rock chips, you hear the noise outside. Fix that by playing music. That's the only way I can say to you. A lot of people say the sound. I would play music, but thanks to YouTube copyrights and the regulations, I won't play it. I truly did not believe it. I'm a sound freak at times because I'm always on a computer. So I have high quality stereo and speakers like Bayer Dynamic headsets, I have Sennheiser top of the line headsets. I even have speakers from Audio Engine, HD, running the HD6 and their subwoofers and other high-end technology. And it's kind of interesting. When I look at these speakers, I don't really see what's so special about them. But I think what they got better compared to the BMW, what they got better is placement. I think placement is very important. A lot of people take that neglected how they place speakers. Take note, BMW and all the other manufacturers, including Mercedes and Bentley and Rolls-Royce. Sorry, your sound systems are great, but I feel like some of them, it's kind of lacking in placement. Look where they place them. Front whole entire dash, the bar, and how do I judge my sound quality? Is how crisp it is. Can I hear the tones? Can I hear the bass? And most importantly, where is it coming from? Can I tell exactly where the sound is coming from? That is the most important part. So in this car, it feels really balanced. I can say it's really close to Mercedes and Bentley. Theirs great too, but you're paying well over $100,000 for that vehicle. So it better be great. But what they get right, it's different. Suspension, completely different bracket. This car as a daily driver, 50 grand range, I don't see any other car beating it. I was gonna try the Mercedes C43, maybe own it for a while, lease it, right? But one thing that Tesla get right, no car dealers. Because when I try to get the C43, hey, a Supra. When I try to get the C43, they were, as MSRP, it was 56 grand. You add options into it, since it's Mercedes, it's even more expensive than the BMW. You are looking at a grand total of 60 grand plus, and doesn't include an upcharge from the dealer. That's really ridiculous. And at that time, while I was going out the door, you add sales tax, you look at 70 grand for a car should cost around 56, between 50 to 60, because the BMW was about 59 grand in total, including sales tax, everything. And right now they have the EV credit. I usually don't include that. If you do include the EV credit and all the other stuff, you're looking at like 53, but still 56 coming out your pocket. So 50 grand mark car or 4-door sedan. And like, there's nothing much to say. This is basically driving an iPad. You know, ride quality, it's all right. Nothing super special. And how quiet it is, like they say, how good is the glass? I don't agree. I'll be honest with you, you can be a fanboy and talk all the stuff you want. Like, how will you actually sit in a different car? Because the sound quality and the glass, how insulated it is, it's okay. I wouldn't say pinnacle, because it's like I said earlier, they did a dual pane glass on the side windows. Do you understand how sound works, how it travels? For sound to be really insulated and quiet, it has to cancel each other out and it won't be able to escape. So you do it in the front windows, but you didn't do it in the back. Like, hello? At that point, why even do it? You just save yourself money. Right now, you're just wasting money. It's like a half-done project. That I was not happy with when I saw that. I mean, I bought the car, I already knew it. Compared it to maintenance, both cars do have maintenance. Like people say, you don't have any transmission fluid, all that stuff. You do have it. It just takes a lot longer. And of course, all these cars have to run on some type of fluid. But for oil change, like the basic stuff, oil change, brake pads, no oil change. Brake pads take a lot longer because 1 foot driving, 1 pedal driving. And a lot of people complain on how it's, a lot of people say it's not sturdy and stuff. When I first drove it, I agree, it's really jerky. And I found a way to actually adjust it to my liking. So you judge your distance on how you drive and how it brakes. And what you do is when you release the gas pedal, when it brakes, you release it. You don't let go of the gas pedal all the way. You let go slowly, really gradual. If you do in a gradual line, it'll feel like normal braking. And of course, you have your brake pedal just in case, like me, step on a little bit too hard because this car is really quick. And come think about it, this car is under advertised its horsepower. I looked it up, some people said 368, but the newer model, because it's running the same battery as the Model 3 Performance, this is about 450 horsepower. And it is extremely, extremely fast. I drove fast cars with 600 plus horsepower, 700 horsepower. I can guarantee this car does not have 300 horsepower, this has 400 horsepower. And other guys said it had 450, 100% agree. Another thing for daily driving, because we're looking at that mainly, is how the basic front lip works. A lot of cars, you get a sportier drive or sportier ride, the car is usually lowered, which personally as a daily driver, I don't like it. Because I don't like it when I bottom out my vehicle. I don't like it when I feel money that's flying out my wallet, because each time I bottom out the vehicle, oh God, I wish I could caught that on camera. Legal U-turn. Like it. America driving. Well, actually, can't really blame America. Everyone does it. But as for, what I was talking about. Suspension lip, how high is off the cars off the floor? This is similar to BMW M340i. Thank God both of these cars have pretty high front ends. I really thank them for it. And you still get pretty good mileage. But the most important part, you don't scrape. That's the most depressing thing, when you scrape. When you scrape the floor going up your driveway or hitting potholes, that is really painful. Like a lot of people say it's not a big deal. Well, sorry. I kind of respect my car. I don't like it bottoming out. That's one thing. As this vehicle, compared to two, interior wise, I have to give it to the BMW. It's just that much better. You can complain like, oh, it's minimalistic. It feels cheap. How about you sit in a Mercedes-Benz S-Class or a Bentley, Rolls-Royce, drive it for a while, and come back and talk to me. Because this, yes, it's nice everything's on the screen. As a daily driver, I don't, really care about all the extra crap. But if it comes to a weekend car, I will care. Like, this is not for me. I wouldn't call it unacceptable. As a day driver, I ignore all things. So my job is a daily driver vehicle, point A, point B, cheap as possible, safe as possible, and basically save me as much time as possible, which is one of the most important things I find. Because driving, and depending where you drive, some people like driving. If you live in the city, you will hate driving. Because driving is a hassle. You don't watch out people, there's a lot of cars, a lot of stop and go. You don't really get a lot of chance to just man it like this. And other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, a car, if you own Toyota Camry, or you're upgrading from a Honda, or you're coming from a BMW or Mercedes, this car, if you're looking around 50 to 60,000 bracket range, this is totally it. You just gotta wait for order now. This car got the power, the braking system. I have to admit, the brakes on this car, I really thought it was pretty crap before because it's a really heavy car. I don't know what they did, but for normal daily driving and emergency stops, this is parallel with BMW. The only thing that's it's worse than a BMW is when it comes to track driving. Let's be honest, how many people are gonna track a BMW M340i and a Tesla long range? You guys usually get, performance model. You track those with the performance model. You don't track, daily driver models. You don't do that. It's just simple. And a lot of people say, oh, it's not good on tracks, I want to drift. Like, are you seriously gonna drift on a populated road like this? Man, at that point, why just become a muscle car driver? This is not a show-off car. This is a daily driver car. And I have to admit, I'm very satisfied with this car besides all the defects. The most important thing to keep, between the two is understand that what you're getting yourself into. Are you looking for a weekend car, or are you looking for a daily driver car? Because that is how I break it up. Those two type of vehicles, those two type of sets, always keep them completely different. It's daily driver, this thing fits the bill. Soft and quiet, similar to basically what you find in Camry or Honda Accord and Civic. And greatest part, 450 horsepower, approximately. And it's basically, you want the power of a BMW, closer to an M series product, like basically an M340i. That's for my daily driver. You got the power too. The brakes, you don't really use them all that much, so you'd be lower maintenance. But when it breaks, when you need it, it's there. I can guarantee you that. After driving this car, got a couple close calls where people come in front of me and I have to jam the brake. This car for its weight, it has it. Truly has it. Really impressed. As for turning and steering feel, as a daily driver, it's basically what it is. As a track driving, this is horrific. I drove in track before, this is completely numb and dead. You don't feel anything. You barely only get vibrations from the cabin. The seats, compared to BMW, this is where the interesting part comes in. This is where when I sit in the back as a passenger, I'll let you know there's a major difference. And I don't understand why manufacturers, I found out that's how they cheap it out, but these seats, really comfortable as a driver and a shotgun passenger. The both BMW and the Tesla Model 3, very good. Is where it changes is when you sit in the rear seats. Air vents, they're really nice, really unique, or they're really special. Maybe you guys gonna have this glass roof on top, that'll be a different story. Glass roof on top, it's really, I have to admit, really goddamn annoying. And I don't see why people like the glass roof so much. I guess if you live in a colder climate, yeah, fine. But if you live in a really hot climate, like, the south, southwest, you are going to regret it during summer. As for how backup cameras work, backup cameras, back then, you used to pay extra. Now it's mandatory. This is basically pretty good. As for camera quality, I have to say it's pretty low standard, but keep in mind, Tesla's the only company that provides basically Sentry mode. What other company does that? Provide it for you for free. If maybe it's including the package too, but at least they provide it without charging you extra, right? Upcharging you. And it works pretty well. The camera could be better, like 1080p instead of 720p, maybe, higher refresh rates and stuff. But at least it provides it for you. That's one thing I worry about compared to the BMW in this, is the BMW doesn't have that. People, what are you gonna accident? You have to put in the dash cam. Right here, dash cam's integrated into the car. And people stealing is a lot less likely because it's really difficult. It's not something you can smash and grab. Because it's literally integrated into the vehicle. And, backup wise and telling a sensor how close it is, it's not bad. It takes time getting used to. Single wheel buttons, it's all right. How it drives, pretty solid. Software and technology, definitely pinnacle. Compared to every other brand manufacturer, no matter what brand it is, Tesla has it for software. Just undeniably. It's like this right now. It's called Easy Entry. Turn that on. When I park, it makes it easy for me to get out the car. When I get into the car, I need to choose a driver profile. It can be preset, and I just go by my name or whatever my family members drive it. It's all preset and done. Speaker quality is there. Drivability is there. As a daily driver, this is really good. As a track car, this is... I absolutely will not take this as a track car. Get something else. Like, I don't know what all the fanboys say. Get something else. Trust me. Once you get into this car, day driver, perfect. Weekend car, no. And people are complaining about how, you know, it rocks in sound. Like I said, turn up the music and maybe, hey, worst case, just, you know, play a fake engine noise through your sound. I don't know why people are complaining so much about that. And people said the speakers are really good. I 100% agree with them because it's based on placement. One thing I do think the speakers do lack is sound quality, meaning how crisp the tones are. So you will notice that when you play a high-pitched noise, or you have people who are singing higher notes, basically, especially a female voice, you do notice it kind of is not as clear. And there's only way to truly understand to tell it to you guys is people who game, who play, you know, play online games like CSGO, Valorant, listen to music on YouTube. If you use high quality headsets, high quality speakers, you can tell when ones are not as great. But what they get right, like a lot of people said, placement. This is what the BMW lacks. Like the BMW, I can tell directly is on the driver's side. That's where the sound is coming from. It's a lot louder on that side than the other side. This car, you cannot tell. It's so balanced. Even sitting in the back. Sitting in the back, you can tell if you put it on balance in the middle, you can tell it's coming somewhere in front. It's not perfect, but it's really close to being really good. And as for software, how you integrate a sound, I believe there's so much software can do. As for making sound quality better, you gotta use better quality speakers, Tesla. But other than that, it's pretty dang good. Glass on top, I actually got extension for that. It's basically a little mesh here in the back. I'm actually using that is because during summer, it gets really hot on top of the glass and it's unbearable for me. Like once it's about 35 degrees Celsius or 90 degrees Fahrenheit plus, this thing will cook you, literally cook your forehead. Your forehead will be like a cream patty right here. And the AC will not help. One that I do have to say I don't like about the car, besides, you know, quality control, as I mentioned in the previous video, dual pane glass, which I just noticed this might be another defect on the car right here. It might not be, I don't know. Just doesn't look right. Could be a defect. Actually, I take that back. It is a defect. Like quality control, I just found a new thing, but you know, as a daily driver, at the end, I'm at this point repeating myself. So, to keep the most important part, how much it costs to own it. And since it's a really new car, technology-based, daily driver, the most important part you have to take away from this video is refueling. Whether or not you want a weekend car or a daily driver car. This, daily driver, the best. Like with between the $50,000 mark to 60 grand or 50 grand and under, this is the best. Period. It does everything right. 353 miles. In reality, you're looking at 300 because based on most people drive, no one's going to drive like a grandma or grandpa. Let's face it. 450 horsepower car. You step on it, you're going. As for braking, braking's really good. Ride, pretty solid. Your typical Honda Civic Camry. Those are really soft. Seats, very good. Back seats. That'll be coming up next. What to take away this car is, I think the most important, everyone wants to know, money, man. It's all about money. Like these Benjamins here, they don't come cheap. They don't come cheap, man. Those Benjamins there. You know how much it costs? One thing I take note of the most, since it's a finance channel, is how much it costs to spend to make money and to earn money. So when I charge this vehicle 300 miles, keep that in mind. It's 300 miles, you lose about 1% or 2% per day if you don't drive it. But if you, let's face it, everyone goes to work, they have to drive every other day. And now the pandemic's like what, 2 to 3 times a week. And back then it used to be every single time a day. Cost me $13. And I live in California. $13. Compare, you know how much I pay for gas in my BMW to get to about 350 miles? And I have to get premium unleaded. It's $60 versus $10 to $13. About a $50 saving. And you think about that's a lot. But you think about it, if it's every week and, in a month there's 4 times, it's about $200 you're saving. And that $200, because there's another channel, I like the game too,
there's something you can use that money literally sometimes. You can get a AAA title game on Steam. You can waste it somewhere else buying groceries, eating out dinner. You can even roll away on gacha, like Genshin Impact and PGR, Punishing Grey Raven. All that money saved. As for maintenance, this car doesn't have oil change. Like I mentioned driving earlier. No oil change. The only thing you really have to change is transmission fluid. But the first thing to literally go in this car, it's either gonna be the electronics, the screen, which, hopefully doesn't happen because I do have a few friends that had it, but it wasn't a Model 3, it was a Model S. I think the first thing will go in this car, I'm guessing, will be the tires because it's my first time ownership of this vehicle. Because family has always been traditional BMW always, so we know the ins and outs and how it works, which I'll get into that in the next video to let you guys know how does it feel and drive in a real sports car. I do not consider this a sports car, no matter how much Elon Musk wants to pitch it's a sports car. It does not feel like one. I can let you know right now. This ride is too soft. Acceleration's great. The braking fades really quick. When you drive it hard enough on track, it fades. Because I've been in one, they drive on a track. Literally, the brakes have to be aftermarket. It will not last. The BMW comes with it. It's very prepped for it. Really great. Lip in the front, you will mostly will not scratch in this car. It's pretty high up, similar to the BMW, which thank God, both brands, they finally realized that people don't like bottoming out their cars or ripping out their bumpers. Since this cars are getting really great, there's one thing I don't like. And it's for every single manufacturer. I don't know why people like this trend. If you look at Engineering Explain, he talks about it. He had his tire blown out. I don't understand why manufacturers are going bigger rims. Like I miss the old days when they had 13 to 15 inch rims and like 3 to 5 inches of tire wall. You can literally hit a 2x4 on the floor and your tire will not go boom. Your rim will not dent. Worst case, it won't take out your fender and your suspension when you hit one of those. When you hit pothole, it will not go boom. This car, I still have to worry for potholes. Even it's an 18-inch rim and the tire wall is still pretty thick. But, it's not as thick as before. Because if you drove cars back then, like back in 2010, you remember those tire walls, those size of tire walls. You have confidence. You can literally drive off a sidewalk on a sedan and you want no problems. You won't even blink. And now you will think twice if you encounter that type of situation. As for a driver, most cars are built for driver and shotgun passenger. But what happens to go on a long road trip? A long road trip, how does it feel in the back? As for seating position, we're going to get into that right now. So now I'm sitting in the back of the Tesla Model 3. A few notable concerns a lot of people don't mention is how does it feel to sit in the back seat? So a lot of people don't mention how does it feel to sit in the back of the Model 3, and especially a lot of other cars. A lot of people don't mention it. And now I have someone else driving right now, and I can let you know it's very comfortable back here compared to other cars, compared to the BMW M340i. Sitting back there is like sitting on bricks. Like, let's be honest here. BMW, if you're watching this, can you guys please fix your back seats? Because they really suck, especially for the sedan class. I sat back there and went to Vegas. I couldn't take it. We had to take multiple stops. And one thing is noticeable why the back seat feels so good is because the amount of cushion they add. I guess before a lot of people were complaining they didn't have enough cushion. And now they actually add enough, which is amazing. Which they should have done a long time ago. So I just moved back the lens and you can see the headroom is pretty good. Thanks to the glass top right here, I actually have a lot more headroom. Because if we didn't have the glass top, I actually have a lot less headroom. But right here in the back, we put a mat back here. It's kind of like mesh material. And the reason why is, like I mentioned before, when I was a driver, the glass, and recently Tesla released their acoustic glass video. Like, it doesn't matter how much tint or film you put on the glass, it's not going to be better than actual real insulation. Like back here, people sitting back here, they don't have those front air vents they can shoot on top of their head. They have the traditional air vents right here in the bottom of 2 USB port Cs. It gets hot back here with the glass, especially, like I mentioned, over 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 34 to 35 degrees Celsius or higher. It gets really hot back here. That's one thing I really don't like as the rear seat passenger. Another thing that I do want to mention is basically since this car has a low center of gravity, the battery's right up below. I'm around like 6 to 5'10", and my knees are lifted pretty high. And right now, this is my normal sitting position. So my knees are pretty high. As for a long drive, how's it feel to sit back here? I believe if you are shorter you will feel a lot more comfortable, like most cars. But if you are taller, I think it negates thanks to the seats. And since there's no, drive shaft in the middle seat is pretty good too. Not bad. And how's it feel to sit back here? I mean, I guess you can look up, but like you truly would not, like people said the glass in the back, it should be a whole entire piece of glass. I disagree with that. Far in front, I feel more comfortable with that. It feels more safe. And there's people looking up, oh, we look straight up. I mean, let's be honest, who sits in the back seat and just looks straight up in the ceiling just to look outside? No one's got to do that. You break your neck doing that. And if you're gonna look up, you usually look up in a sunroof. As the rear passenger, you look up through the front. That's where usually you will look through. That's we have the mesh here. As for cup holders, traditional. It's whatever, nothing special. Feels like typical plastic you find in your Honda Civic or your Toyota Camry, but it does the job, it works. Not bad. As for rear compartment, rear headroom, it does have a rear headrest, which is really nice if you do have a middle passenger. If you are sitting 3 people on this car, I will say it's just like every other compact sedan. It will be pretty tight. The only one truly benefiting for how it feels comfortable are the left and right passengers. As for the back doors do not have an emergency latch by the windows. The roll down the windows area does not have emergency latch. Don't know why Tesla did that. They only did it for the front doors, and I don't know why they put it there. Forgot to mention, because a lot of people gotta warn them first to how to open a door, because if you use emergency latch, and you could damage the glass because it's the way it's designed. I see a lot of high-end cars start to do that. They do basically borderless windows. I think it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in today, because it gives a really high chance for someone to push onto the glass. As you see in other Tesla videos, it will basically have a really good chance to basically destroy the glass, because it's not meant to be pressed there. But I don't know why a lot of designers do that. As for ride quality, definitely better than the BMW that I'm going to shoot, review, and compare to this car. It's both similar price brackets. Unfortunately, cannot get the AMG for that one because it's basically different price brackets. You're looking at a $60,000+ car if you go for the Mercedes, because they think they're a premium brand and they own the name for being premium and soft riding. As for ride of that car, it's pretty typical, similar. But sitting here now as a passenger, right now we're going out to get food, it feels okay sitting back here. As for a long road trip, only time will tell until I become a rear passenger. But sitting back here, I have to admit, it's typical. If you sit in a BMW at this point, the rear passenger is meant to people don't really care about the rear passenger. Most manufacturers don't. Tesla cares a little bit more because they upgrade the seats. But sitting in the back, if you play music and stuff, like I said earlier, playing music, even if you're sitting in the back, it sounds just as good as the front, because it's all about speaker placement. Just the quality speakers are just not there for how crisp the tones are. As for the acoustic glass, like I said, it's like you insulate your own house and you forgot the other half. So would it be a really great insulation? No. The same includes for sound. Your glass back here does not have dual pane. And I mentioned how special their glass are. Well, guess what? It ain't so special. There's not really much complaints besides quality control. Ride-in power is there. And material-wise usage, I do admit a lot of people do complain. They do have some cheap materials, which the BMW only has on certain sections, which I do not happy with it, but Tesla has more. So stuff you'll find in your Civic and Camry, really cheap plastics like the back seats. Back seat covers right here. Basically the cup holders, part of the door jams right here, cheap plastic. Don't know why I didn't wrap that leather, because they wrapped the rest in leather. But what was really interesting, do you have Alcantara side panels? Alcantara side panels usually found in higher end vehicles. That's not a cheaper type of material, it's a racing type of material, usually used for a steering wheel. There's a lot of visible rubber, I have to admit, on the sides here, which I am not happy with, because as I mentioned, I showed on the Acura TL from 2011, rubber does not like sunlight, and all those little rubber gaskets coming off, that will happen around 8 years on average. And based on all the vehicles owned by the family, it's about average time for how long rubber lasts on a vehicle, about 8 years. Even newer technology, only time will tell. But give about 8 years or so, it'll end up looking like that. It'll crack and break into pieces. In worst case, in this car, since most of the seals are used by rubber and it's not covered, it will have water leakage when it rains. Hopefully not. Hopefully they do a better job, or you might spray some protectant on it. Who knows? But overall, the quality, how they stitches, seat comfort, really good. Drive ability, really good. Power, really good. Basically, to sum it all up, the Tesla Model 3 long range is basically you're looking at a Honda Civic or like a Honda Accord or Toyota Camry. Basically, look at the low-end Toyotas and the low-end Hondas comfort, and you combine that with the power of a BMW M product. This is what a Tesla is. And the software is literally, imagine you took your high-end computer and you put it into the vehicle. That's what it feels like. Your iPad, iPhone 13, high-end Samsung Galaxy Note, Fold, all into one. This is basically a complete package for daily driving. Weekend car is a no. Just to sum it up, only a couple things I don't like. I forgot to mention. I think a lot of people didn't mention it. Seatbelt. The seatbelt, I can't show it on camera. Maybe on the BMW. The seatbelt on this Tesla, there's like a little stitching right here that's really hard. I mean, it doesn't really bother me too much because I'm very skinny. But since most Americans are not skinny, it's gonna be really annoying because it's like a hard piece of seatbelt. And I don't know what they did or stitched together like that. I don't know who designed this. No other manufacturer has done something this dumb, and only Tesla did it. But hey, this is really annoying. I might put like a seatbelt belt covering so make it feel softer. And a lot of I haven't seen any videos people mentioning about this as a problem, because I find this is definitely a problem. It's really painful when you have a seatbelt feels like a hard piece of plastic. It's like a seatbelt stitch into a seatbelt. That's what it feels like. And it's for some reason on all seatbelts for some reason. I don't know why. It looks like it's meant to hold the seatbelt. The belt actually clicks to hold it there in that position. But why? Why just let it hit the seat? There's nothing wrong with that. That's not efficient. I mean, all the tech and stuff is there. Ride quality is there. Power is definitely there. Brakes, pretty good for daily. And when the BMW comes back this Monday, I will shoot a video on that and comparing the two. One more thing I almost forgot to mention. What's the difference from all the brands of comparing, looking at the BMW, what price bracket you're spending if you want to get BMW, or the Tesla? So Tesla, it's Model 3. As you know, you have the Standard Range Plus. In this case, this car, the long range. And you have the upgraded model, the performance. Out of the three, the one I think you should pick is definitely this vehicle. If you have the money in bracket, the money to pay for about the 50 grand to 60 grand mark, around those two brackets. Reason why is, it's got the range. You take whatever range there is. So this car is 353 minus 50 miles. That's how I treat it. Electrical vehicles, some people will say 20. That's being too nice. Let's be honest here. You gotta turn on the AC. You gotta turn on the heater. You're gonna floor it. It gets boring quick, but sometimes you need to floor it. Most of the time people floor for fun to show off. It's gonna be there. And you're looking at 50 miles minus from there. That's be your actual mileage. And this car, why you should not pick the Tesla Model 3 Performance. First of all, it's faster, right? So you're telling me you are going to blink. When you blink, that's about 1 second. You're going to basically pay 10 grand just to blink once. Are you kidding me? And next of all, they said they made better rims, basically more durable rims. And how did they do it? They made a larger rim. So when you hit a pothole, your higher chance for you getting a flat and completely destroying your suspension rim is even higher. I don't know whose bright idea is to make a larger rim. Like I mentioned before, larger rims are horrible. Go watch Engineer Explain on what happened to his Model 3 and why he does not like larger rims. So basically that car is lower too. As a daily driver, it's not great to have a lowered vehicle. To be honest, it's more of a headache and hassle that you don't want to deal with. A lot of people on YouTube that deal with it because you guys are watching that video. You're making money off of it. They're making money off of it just to get you to watch it. Model 3 Performance, no. Standard range, I'll probably have to say a no on that one too. The mileage on that one is a bit low. For long distance travel, 253 miles. In that case, it'll probably truly be around 200. And if you took an AC heater, you're probably gonna be in trouble. That one, I'll have to say no to it. Until you get more range, I would not recommend it. I would recommend the 353 mile. Where power-wise, compared to performance, this is basically blinking at this point. Pay 10 grand for blinking, that's basically up to you. As for the BMW, that will be on a separate video, but I will mention now. So you have basically the 320, piece of garbage. You have the 328 or the 330, basically the mid-range, looking at the Tesla. And you have the one that I drive, the daily driver, the M340i or the 340, whatever they call it, 335. That one, between those three, I'll probably take the 340i because it has all the upgrade package and stuff, overhead display. One thing, the Tesla, I wish they have overhead display. Like, please have that. Like, every manufacturer does that thing, helps so much. Like, people say navigation's great on Tesla. It's not as good as other vehicles. I hate to break it to you. Comes to turning your head, overhead display. Overhead display is a game changer. If you have that, people will not go back. One thing that almost most manufacturers lack, besides Lexus and Mercedes, is AC seats. I wish they have that. If you have AC seats, let's be honest here, a lot of people, when people do use that, you mostly will not turn on the air because the air coming blowing out the seats are so much better than it blowing out the vents. Other than that, I think the Tesla Model 3 Long Range Plus is better than the Performance and the Standard Range. And it's definitely better than the BMW M340i when it comes to a daily driver. I'll be posting a video on the BMW, so make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.